Bangladesh stands on the front lines of climate crisis, with challenges such as rising sea levels, extreme weather, salinity intrusion, etc. At BIGD, we try to understand the effect of these climate hazards and environmental risks on various aspects of human lives. We also try to understand the potential of different kinds of social innovations to address these challenges. In essence, we are trying to work in the critical intersection of environment and people. Climate change and environmental crisis are not gender neutral. According to a study done by UN Environment, 80% of the people who are displaced due to climate change are women and girls. Women, due to the existing socioeconomic disparities and all the other kinds of vulnerabilities, often face the brunt of these challenges disproportionately. After a disaster or a slow onset challenge, women have limited access to healthcare, and they also face reproductive challenges. For example, in the coastal areas of Bangladesh, where women have to work for a prolonged period of time in saline water, they face reproductive health issues. Even in those areas, there's lack of clean water, so they have to wash their menstrual clothes in dirty and salty water, further exacerbating the problem. Apart from these issues, women often face loss of livelihoods, food insecurity that leads to malnutrition, disrupted education for girls, and forced early marriages that often leads to social exclusion. We have observed how climate shocks widen the power imbalances and place the burden of survival on women. And when we're proposing challenges, the solutions that do not address these underlying inequalities, they often unintentionally reinforces the disparities and places women in a far more disadvantageous position. In Bangladesh, a couple of years back, when the social safety nets were being digitalized, they did not consider the lack of technical know-how or the lack of familiarity of women to these financial tools. Especially in our study, we found that after COVID, factory salaries were disbursed via mobile banking, but in most of the families, this money was managed by the male member because of the greater technical know-how. So even if the money was being brought in by the female members, they had limited financial agency. In one of our projects in collaboration with WindRock, we're trying to explore the link between climate-induced displacement and the risks of human trafficking and modern-day slavery. When we were doing the background research for that study, we found a troubling pattern that after any catastrophic event like storm, cyclones, when people are forced to move out or move to a different location, there's certain particular groups of women and girls who face heightened risk of exploitation and violence. These risks are often compounded for families who are socioeconomically vulnerable and in a disadvantageous position because, when they cannot do the harvest on saline and water stagnated land, they lose the money, they sell their assets, they fall into cycle of debts, and they often have to relocate, are forced to migrate to a completely different location, and they have to start from the scratch. Young girls in particular often are pushed into exploitative work arrangements, be it in domestic labor or in factory, where they face poor pay, lack of rights, and exposure to violence. And they also have to continue in this exploitative work arrangements because they have no further options. They have to provide for their family. Continuing education for them is an unattainable luxury sometimes. Our work at BIGD emphasizes the need for a holistic, multifaceted approach to address violence against women in the context of climate change that combines disaster risk reduction, socioeconomic empowerment, and gender-sensitive policymaking. Only by addressing these challenges from these lenses, we can foster resilience and equity.